Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daily Dizzle Weekend Update for Super Bowl weekend. This is Tommy Dizzlemits here, as always. You can still expect that drunk diary at some point, either late tonight or early tomorrow. But we figured having to get drunk during the Super Bowl, having to wait to the end of the game to be over to actually complete editing, and then having to drunk edit might not be the greatest thing and might not lead to a timely update. So that's why we've got this, throwing it out there for you. Keeping you up to date on the latest information that you need. Weekend estimates are here. Of course, the box office always takes a little bit of a plunge whenever it's Super Bowl weekend. Sunday ends up being, as opposed to almost the extra real business day, ends up being like any of the other weekdays where business drops off abnormally larger compared to any other day or any other time of the year, just because a lot of people are not going to the movies on Super Bowl Sunday. They'd rather be at home watching TV, not spending money. Meanwhile, The Roommate, though, it was number one for the weekend, ended up making over $15.5 million. Just the latest in many PG-13 horror movie remakes that are coming out. Though it seems like Sony is actually doing a good job with churning them out. Learning from what they did with The Stepfather and being able to bump the gross for The Roommate up a little bit, having it claim the number one spot. Meanwhile, number two, we had Sanctum in 3D. Unfortunately, the 3D couldn't even help it, as it only made just over $9 million, even with its expensive 3D ticket prices taken into account. That is the third lowest opening for a 3D film. Granted, the other two have only been in the last couple months, and it's been since this past summer of all the flooding of the 3D movies with companies trying to get every last dollar the cheapest ways possible. That's why the movies are starting doing as well in the 3D format. I mean, if you have a good 3D movie, then it will obviously make a lot more money off of it, as like Tron Legacy showed by having a pretty long box office run, all things considered. But you can't just throw every piece of shit movie out there in 3D. Otherwise, you have ones like Sanctum, and even ones that open lower than that, like Alpha and Omega, the kids movie. And kids movies are supposed to be an easy sell. On top of that, you also had Wes Craven's My Soul to Take, which was also in 3D and didn't do too well. So really, if you have a movie worth seeing in 3D, like Tron or an Avatar, then it's worth putting out. Otherwise, the company is just trying to convince itself it's going to make more money, when really the audience is going to drop off much quicker, because the only reason you're making a lot of money is because you have the people shelling out all that extra money, and when they don't come back out for a repeat performance, it'll drop off quicker than most movies. Going through the rest of the top 12 with the holdovers. Number 3, No Strings Attached, still keeping in line for a solid box office run. Added an extra $8.4 million onto its total. It's sitting north of $50 million, over twice its budget, so it's already making nice coin for Paramount Pictures. Number 4, The King's Speech with the Weinstein Company. It's estimated to drop only 25% this weekend. It's just behind No Strings Attached with $8.3 million. However, it's sitting at $84 million altogether. So, yeah, the Weinsteins are just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing that one until hopefully it wins an Oscar, gets some awards for them, and then they can unleash their stupid edited version and whore it out further. Number 5, we have The Green Hornet, made an extra $6.1 million. It's sitting at over $87 million. Last weekend's number 1 movie, The Right, the Possession one with Anthony Hopkins, took a 62% tumble. Anything over 50 is kind of steep. Anything over 60 ends up being an abnormally large drop-off for your second weekend. So it's at $23 million with a $37 million budget. Might not make money. Oops. And number 7, The Mechanic, another opener from last week, held up a little bit better, dropping just over 50%. Made under $5.4 million for the weekend, but that puts its total at $20 million. Jason Statham at this point, he's got a very, very, very weird talent. You give him a movie that you put him as a lead character, and you give the job that he is doing in the movie as the title, like the transporter or the mechanic, he ends up being able to at least make a consistent amount of money every single time. So don't be surprised when you hear Jason Statham is the street sweeper as like the next movie announcement, because it'll probably happen. Rounding out the top 12 at number 9, we have The Dilemma with just under $3.5 million. So it's still not doing that great. We had Black Swan adding another 3.4 million as well, so it sits at just over $4 million shy of the $100 million mark. So you can expect it, if not during the week, by next Friday, it will cross the century mark for sure. The Fighter at number 11 with 2.9 million sits at over 82 million, so probably not going to cross the century mark, but still has made a lot of money. And number 12, Yogi Bear, seems to keep on holding on a little bit. Added another 2.3 million, so it's sitting at over 95 million. So as we did say a couple weeks ago, as long as it was holding on, it's probably going to end up crossing the $100 million mark by the end of its run. So that's a look at the top 12 at the box office. We'll have the actual results in tomorrow. As we said, the estimates, I mean, especially when you get them on Sunday, they're pretty much just trying to guess in the future what Sunday's grosses are actually going to be. At least with the Super Bowl weekend or any other similar holiday weekend that negatively affects it in an odd way, they have a better idea of being able to track that because they know, well, Sunday it's going to drop, so let's just make up a random small number for that day. So it's not going to look like any of those are going to bump up anymore. And looking at the box office, this is the 13th week in a row that business is down compared to the same frame last year. So over 3 months of down business. That's not looking like too good of a start to the year. So that does it on the box office side of things. But speaking of Super Bowl weekend and the box office, a couple years ago, obviously, Liam Neeson had an awesome movie that surprisingly topped the Super Bowl weekend. Not only topping the weekend, but actually performing stronger in its opening than people ever expected, and then making almost $200 million by the time it was out of theaters. Of course, it was the movie Taken with Liam Neeson, who was the shit, in case you didn't learn that from like Batman Begins or Love Actually or anything else he's done. But regardless, 2 years ago, we had Taken come out. The commercials look something like this. Liam Neeson on the phone. "You took my daughter, give her back." Cut to the title. Take it. Now let's go 2 years later. I'm sitting in bed today watching TV and commercial for Liam Neeson's latest movie, The Unknown, comes on. What's The Unknown? The only real thing I caught from the commercial is Liam Neeson. "What's going on here?" Liam Neeson in The Unknown. Essentially, they are using the exact same marketing style to release what is probably going to be almost the exact same movie as was 2 years ago, just a different studio. But I will say for a fact, I don't care if it's plagiarism, as long as there is scenes of Liam Neeson karate chopping people in the throat like Taken, I will totally watch this movie. And then you know he's going to do a Taken 2, so really, why isn't this going to be Taken 2 and then Taken 2 be a third? You know, they're all the same damn movie, just it's Liam Neeson kicking ass. And that is the greatest kind of movie that there can be. So that's all the time we've got for the weekend update today. We do thank you guys for joining us as always. We hope to see you back here for the Drunk Diary either late tonight or early tomorrow. And don't forget, the Daily Dizzle is here Monday through Friday with a daily update and a weekend update posted by Sunday. So if this is your first time checking us out, be sure to remember it and keep coming back. So once again, we do thank you guys for joining us here as always. On behalf of the Daily Dizzle and the weekend update, it's Tommy Dizzlemits. We will see you later on for the Drunk Diary of Tommy Shitty Mitts.